videos of the people saying kill the white farmers?
Afrikaners do not want
What do you
to
think the phrase kill the white farmers means?
Yeah, that's a phrase.
Hey guys, welcome to my brother's Ballot. I'm your boy Po Theory. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. So I was watching Abby Phillips, as I always do, and they were discussing the South African white Afrikaners that were granted TPS status, while a lot of other groups has had their TPS status rescinded. But these particular white South Afrikaners from South Africa were able to get theirs. So let's get into this lovely clip.
Let's get right to what America's talking about. An Oval Office ambush. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa thought he was joining President Trump at the White House to reset relations. Instead, he was accused of allowing, quote, genocide of white South African farmers to happen under his watch. Watch this.
We have thousands of stories talking about it. Sure. And we have documentaries, we have news stories. Excuse me, turn the lights down. Turn the lights down and just put this on. It's right behind you. Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land.
The evidence that Trump is showing.
To use the word genocide for what is actually not happening in South Africa it's just disgusting.
With the press in the room has been debunked. There is nothing substantive to these claims that there is a genocide happening in South Africa. But that still didn't stop the White House from fast-tracking the refugee status of 59 white South Africans just last week. Now, here are the actual facts around this. In the last 9 months of 2024, there were more than 19,000 murders in South Africa. Only 36 happened on farms, and only 7 of the victims were farmers. How many of them were white? We don't know, because official data is not broken down by race. Now, even a State Department report in Trump's...
Now, in Gaza, we have over 100,000 women and children that have been slaughtered, and this administration and the previous administration as well, because they're not getting off easy with this at all. They refuse to use the G word. They refuse to use that word.
First term addressed the claims of race-motivated attacks on white farmers. That same report goes on to say that those attacks and murders increased in line with the overall rise in violent crime in the country. Still, Trump accused the South African president of doing nothing to stop his unsubstantiated claim of genocide.
But you do allow them to take land.
No.
You do allow them to take land.
Nobody can
and
take
then when
land.
they take the land, they kill the white farmer. And when they...
Trump criticizing the president of South Africa, saying that he allows people to take their land. I guess the taking of someone's land is only okay if they have melanin in their skin, or if they're, a non-white person, because that's what has happened in Gaza. That's what has happened in these settler colonial areas in the Middle East. That I cannot believe that he is. Actually, I can't believe he's saying that.
When they kill the white farmer, nothing happens to them.
No, there is
nothing happens.
There is criminality in our country. People who do get killed, unfortunately, through criminal activity, are not only white people. Majority of them are black people, and we have now been utilized.
The farmers are not black. I don't
now
say that's good or bad, but
only 7 farmers have been murdered out of 19,000 murders in South Africa.
Farmers are not black.
Joining us in our fifth seat at the table is Elise Labott. She is the Edward R. Murrow Press Fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations and host of Cosmopolitics on Substack. And you can see there why President Ramaphosa was a negotiator for the anti-apartheid government, because he had extraordinary patience in trying to explain to Trump that what he is claiming there in the Oval Office for the world to see is just not true.
That's right. And he also, brought some props with him. He brought some South African golfers, a coffee table book. He knows that, he needs to kind of, in this feudal system, bring gifts to President Trump. It wasn't enough to stop that ambush, but he tried to, correct the facts, let him know that the majority, and there is a lot of crime in South Africa, the majority is not against whites, it's against blacks. The majority is not against farmers, as you said in the intro. President Trump didn't want to hear any of it. It wasn't till one of the golfers and one of the white billionaires that he brought with him I've said, look, President Trump, this is what's going on. And I think that's when, then there was a joke about the jet, which we'll talk about later. But that's when I think the meeting kind of turned and the tensions were lowered a little bit.
This is straight out of the conspiracy land of the far right. And it is not based in fact. And it's amazing that this has actually become the foreign policy of the United States based on just...
Scott, why are you making that face? It is definitely a conspiracy theory. When you have the facts and you continue to push a narrative that is not true, it is a conspiracy theory. Do we know what a genocide is? Genocide is defined as the deliberate and systematic destruction of a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group. It involves acts committed with the intent to destroy the group, either in whole or in part. This can include killing members of the group, causing serious bodily or mental harm, inflicting conditions of life calculated to bring about physical destruction, or imposing measures to prevent births within the group. So an example of that would be not allowing aid trucks into the Gaza Strip, so the Palestinians wouldn't starve to death.
Straight up, I mean, we have the numbers. It is completely unsubstantiated. I mean, Scott,
you're saying it's not true that some white farmers have been murdered?
No, it's not.
No, she's not saying that it's not true, but just by that question that you just asked, some is not a genocide. Some is not a deliberate effort by the government to end the South Afrikaners' position that they hold in South Africa, essentially.
It's not true that there is a genocide against white
Okay,
farmers.
whatever you call it, have white farmers been murdered?
Actually, how many?
You can't be that flippant when you use the word genocide. You cannot. Well, whatever you want to call it. No. The president said that the reason that he is granting temporary protective status to the South Afrikaners is because they are experiencing a genocide.
Have violence been committed against white farmers?
How many white farmers? Hold on a second. How many white farmers have been murdered?
I don't know. Several. I mean, they asked.
No. How many?
I don't know. Several.
I know why you don't know, because those numbers don't exist broken down by race.
I mean,
How
I
many
know
black-
this. I wouldn't
how
trust the
many
South
black
African government to tell me. I know that.
How many
How many
black
people live in
farmers
South Africa?
have been murdered in South Africa?
Look, you guys are so triggered over 59 people.
No. I'm not.
After we
it's-
left 20 million people in
haven't
the
even
country.
brought
I don't know
up-
why you're so
haven't even
triggered
brought
over
up the people.
Okay, and again, this weird false equivalency saying that people are triggered by the 50-something odd South Afrikaners that are coming in, but not triggered by the 20 million people coming in. People are bothered by this because of the hypocrisy. And actually, the question still stands. Why aren't you triggered by this? You're so triggered by the 20 million. Why aren't you upset that more people are coming in to take our resources?
The white people that Trump picked out because they were white and told them they could come to the country.
How much racial
There are
killing are you going to condone?
There are 19,000 murders in South Africa. 36 were on farms. 7 of the farmers
According to
were
who?
victims.
According
Okay,
to
this
who?
is according to the South African
And
police.
you think the South African government is
The
a credible
other
source?
29, hold on a second. The 29.
Wait, so all of a sudden we don't believe South African government statistics? I'm confused. Because they don't fit your narrative, now we must discredit South Africa? Okay, that sounds familiar.
9 victims who were included in the farm killings were farm employees who tend to be black. So the vast majority of people killed on farms in South Africa are black. Where is the concern about them?
The concern is that there are white farmers.
There is no concern. He's telling you. He's not even saying the quiet part out loud. There is no concern. We don't care about the blacks getting unalived on these farms. We don't care. We only care about the whites. We got to preserve our numbers. I mean, this is very clear cut here.
Who have had violence committed against them, and they're being threatened. They're being threatened every single day. There's 59 people,
hold on a second.
and you're triggered about 59 people, and I don't know why.
I haven't mentioned anything about 59
to
people.
substantiate
not
that
me.
white
Why are
farmers
you
being
only
targeted.
concerned about white people?
I'm only concerned about this story because These 59 people asked for status. They're getting status, and now everybody's freaking out
They
about
didn't
it.
ask for anything.
There is
This
no
is
evidence that white
right.
And that's the gag. They didn't even ask for the status. We just willingly gave it to them. Come over here. I know you're going through X and Y and Z. And yes, we may be kicking out a lot of other people, even some American citizens. But we want you. We like you. You're America.
people have been targeted. Some white people in the larger issue of farmers, in the larger issue of violence, have been part of this violence. But there
Then why
is
are they
no,
trying to get out? Why are they? If
the
there's no,
Scott, the
why are they
majority,
trying to leave?
the majority of
Have you seen the videos of the people saying kill the white?
Scott is being so hypocritical here because couldn't everything that he's saying right here, couldn't we say this about people that are coming from Mexico, people that are fleeing persecution, people that actually need asylum? A lot of these 20 million people, this number that he keeps espousing, can't we use that same logic for those people? Why are they leaving? Why are they coming to America? We could say the same thing, but you have an issue with those people coming here. I wonder, God forbid, but I wonder if one of those South Afrikaners comes here and murders a white woman, will there be all this uproar like there was with the Lincoln Riley case?
Afrikaners do not want
What do you
to
think
leave.
the phrase "kill the white farmers" means?
Yeah, that's a phrase that the ANC,
okay.
that was a phrase that, was against the anti-apartheid movement. But the ANC, who's ruling the government, the president's government, has disavowed that phrase, has disavowed any songs. And there's no evidence that white people are being targeted. And the majority of Afrikaners do not want to leave.
They're not a part of the government, Scott. You're taking a fringe movement and you're trying to make it a characteristic.
So it is the height of
entire
racism.
nation.
It is the height of racism to say that white people have to be exempted from all violence in any society. And that is what is said.
I don't know why you're looking like that. Charles is hitting it right on the head.
That is what is being said here. If we cannot say, there is no white genocide happening, there is no farm genocide happening, and the argument is some white people have been killed, even though 27,000 murders happened in that country. What are we saying?
Thank you. 7 murders occurred on farms. Over 19,000 murders occurred in South Africa, where those farms are. Abby has already stated that the majority of the murders are of Black victims. There's a very, very small percentage of white Afrikaners that are murder victims. And look at all the backbending this government is doing, all of the backbending that Scott is doing to make this okay.
Anybody of one racial group is murdered, then that constitutes a refugee status for that particular group.
When the president has
I'd also like to highlight, does anybody notice that Sir Michael Singleton is extremely quiet on this topic? I wonder what his thoughts are.
Height of racism.
also ended the refugee program
for
all other people in actual war.
There is
in actual war.
No, I don't
I'm not
understand.
triggered.
You want them to stay, and I guess you want them to have violence committed against
Ashley,
them.
go
Does
ahead.
that make you happy?
Go ahead and comment, and then I'll
I
let
think
you.
violence against all people is wrong,
I agree with you.
including the
I
white
totally
farmers,
agree with
but
you.
also including the Black people that live in Africa. There are 1.5 billion people that live in the continent
I
of
don't like
Africa.
violence of any kind.
There are 1.5 billion people that live in Africa.
Okay.
There are 63 million people that live in South Africa.
Mhm.
There were 59 people that were extracted out of a continent of 1.5 billion people and brought to our country. And what
Okay.
color were those people? White.
So
And where were there other places where genocide is happening in the continent where 1.5 billion? I'm not against it. I'm not against it.
But
I
you
want to
appear to
know.
be- look at
No,
you, you're so triggered.
That's such a false statement to make, asking why she's against it. She's not against it. She's trying to figure out, if we know that there are other genocides that are happening on the continent of Africa, how come we haven't set up TPS status for these other groups that are actually experiencing genocide, along with these 59 Afrikaners that actually aren't experiencing genocide?
I want you to have a
59
complete.
people.
No, I
59.
want you to have. I can have a complete thought. I want you to have a complete thought.
My thought is,
You are
these
okay.
people are under threat, and
Well,
now
are
they're coming
you?
here, and you're
Can you
enraged that
say?
they're not
Can
still
you
under
say
threat.
that? Can you say that in addition to the 7 potential white farmers that were murdered, the 18,900 and 82,000 Black folks that were murdered in the country, that's a problem too?
Yes, all violence is a problem.
Yes, and maybe
But
perhaps
the
they should
government's
have
policies are targeting these particular people with
Wait, how
land
so?
confiscation,
No,
and they're being
that's
targeted
incorrect.
with violence.
Hold on,
There
Scott,
have been
how
no
so?
farms
How
taken
so?
from any white people yet.
Yeah,
Yes.
how
But
so?
the laws, do the laws
There
not
is a
allow it?
law, but it hasn't been.
There is a law, but
No, but
they're
it hasn't.
being targeted.
Kind of like the
People,
Constitution.
people
Hold on,
are
guys. Hold on,
attacking
guys.
them.
I think that
They're
this.
threatening them.
Hold on. A lot is being said right now, including many things that are not true.
What's not true?
So the land. Let's talk about the land for a second.
It is. It's the law.
Scott, just 1 second. Let's talk about the land.
So it's
The land.
law.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Let's talk about the land. I'm going to take this one at a time because I think it's really important. 81% of the land, the vast majority, 96% of the private land in South Africa is owned by white people. Despite Black people being the vast majority of the population, 81%. The president of South Africa pointed this.
How does that work? For people that are, having the government's boot on their neck, essentially is what Scott is trying to say. If South Africa's population is 81%, but only 4% of private land is owned by Black people, how are the South African white Afrikaners being targeted? Systemically, I should say. So yeah, guys, just more hypocrisy from people like Scott Jennings. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Please definitely like and comment this video. I appreciate it. Peace.